What is up, everybody? Welcome to 3 Men in the Basement. This is the Sunday special, comics and cartoons. This is the final issue of this series. So we have special guest Mitch Hallock on today, producer and owner of the world's greatest comic con, Terrificon. But first, you got to watch our sick intro.
Banded together from remote galaxies are 13 of the most sinister villains of all time, the Legion of Doom, dedicated to a single objective, the conquest of the universe. Only one group dares to challenge this intergalactic threat.
All right, and one more thing before we get started, we'd like to show you a video from our sponsor, Rocket Comics. All right, now that we're done with all that stuff, there we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3 Men in the Basement. This is a great show today. This is issue 4, as I like to see, of the limited series of comics, Sunday afternoon comics and cartoons talks, where we get to talk about a lot of things. We have all the 3 Men in the Basement minus Dave in the Cave. I'm your host, Everett Otto, and up top we have Mr. Roger Levesque. Roger, how you doing today?
What's up, everybody? Holding it down from the Carriage Hill Pub. Want to do shout-outs to the guys in the live chat right now. Mr. Wonker's Randy Sloan said have a good time, but he's working. Matt Forge, Wesley Campbell, Count Vin Strange, Bayou Boy Entertainment, The Butcher. Great show last night, guys. Night of Ren 789 and Man from Beamtown right now. What's up, everybody? Hope you enjoy the show.
All right, and then holding it down, producing the show, Nemesis Prime himself with the man hand of the day, working hard in the yard this weekend, huh, buddy?
Yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a while since I've been on the live show, so I'm glad to be back and excited to be here this Sunday afternoon with Mitch.
Absolutely, and our guest of honor for the second time here in the grotto, Mr. Mitch Hallock. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us today. We're happy to have you back here.
Oh, thanks, guys. Anything to take a break from doing lawn work and reorganizing 45 years of comic books, I swear. It sounded like a good idea. Not the lawn work, but I'm home. Why not go through all my long boxes and put everything in order? Because I haven't really done that since we moved into this house back in 2004.
Yeah.
So that was not a good idea. My wife is going to kill me.
I was listening to your podcast or your YouTube channel now with Jerry Ordway, the Power Cosmic Con podcast. Justin, we have a graphic for that.
Yeah, it's really
so if you guys want to Google it and hear what Mitch and Jerry Ordway have to say, that's the content for that. So it was funny, Mitch, when I was listening to you today, you were talking about Deathstroke and how you wished you had gotten an autograph by Rich Buckler, who passed away.
Deathlock.
Yes. I apologize. And then it turns out you do have that autograph.
I know. It's one of those things because I have found books that I don't remember buying. I don't remember reading. I don't even remember owning some of them, which has been a surprise because I go check eBay. I'm like, oh my, that's worth this much money? Not a lot. But yeah, Rich Buckler was at a show I produced here in Connecticut, in Bridgeport, Connecticut in 2014. And I always loved Deathlock. It was one of my favorite characters in the 70s. The half cyborg was like the $6 million man gone bad.
Yeah.
And, they never really did much with it with Marvel. It's like one of those characters they have, but they just don't know what to do with. But Rich was the creator of Deathlock, and he was there. But also, that's the first book that George Perez worked on.
Yep.
And Klaus Jansen's inking it. And Klaus Jansen's from Bridgeport. He lived here. So they were all at that show. I had Perez, I had Jansen, and I had Rich. So I grabbed the book, and I remember leaving it with him, and that was it. And then he passed away like 2 years later. And I'm like, oh, man, I never got that signature. And lo and behold, as I'm sorting the books, I hold it up, and right in the corner there it says Rich Buckler. And I'm like, oh, man, now I just got to get Jansen and Perez to sign it. And Jansen was coming to Terrificon this year, and Perez was supposed to be here last year. But who knows? Maybe down the road I can get George again, but
Right.
that's one of those things. It's meaningless, but I just want to have all three of them sign it,
No, it's a great book. I actually own it too, with the expectation that I was going to have George Perez sign it. But now that you reminded me that Klaus did it, I might have Klaus sign it too,
Yeah. You never know. It's one of those things. I don't CGC it. I could, but it's one of these things. I just like knowing that the guy who made it, I had a chance to talk to him and just talk about the book like any other fanboy, and he just signed it. And, it's just a little personal thing,
No, I think that's great. So, the premise of this was to talk about cartoons, because I grew up to Saturday morning cartoons and all those shows, and we don't have those anymore. They transitioned to the afternoon cartoons, later on.
Yeah.
But what was one of your favorite cartoons growing up, Mitch? What was something that you like to enjoy?
Saturday morning. Well, you started off with the Super Friends. I could distinctly remember, I'm a little older than you guys. I'm 53, but I remember when that premiered. And my sister was up at my grandma's cottage here in Shelton, Derby, Connecticut. So I drove over there on Sunday, and I told her all about it because I was like in the water. I was like, then there's this guy Aquaman, and he could talk to the fish, and it was like, boo, 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 boo. These things came out, and I just remember going on and on about Wonder Woman, Superman, because to have all those major heroes all together on one show was like mind-blowing. I think it was like 6 or something. Maybe it was on 5 or 6. It was just crazy, and that was one of the greatest shows ever. I've seen it since, and they're not as great as I remember.
No.
Like, just leave it in your memory. But
nothing is with the times.
No, nostalgia is a great drug. It kind of glosses over a lot of stuff. Hong Kong Phooey, which was a weird show, but I like the theme song. It was Scatman Crothers as a dog who was a janitor at a police station, but was also a master of kung fu. It doesn't make sense,
But he transformed into a file. He transformed instead of going into a phone booth like Superman. Remember, he went into a file cabinet.
Yeah.
And he was an idiot.
Yeah, and I found DC just did a book. I think it was Black Lightning meets Hong Kong Phooey or something last year.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is awesome. And I found that when I was cleaning my books up the other day. And you know what was great? Not all of them were cartoons. There was these live action shows, and it was Bigfoot and Wild Boy.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Oh, well, it's like the Sid and Marty Krofft hour. They're the guys that made Puffin Stuff and Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Yep.
They were like the most tripped out comic book creators. They were the George Lucas and Spielberg of Saturday morning cartoons, and they would do these really freaky, I don't even know how to describe some of those shows, but they had this hour of power. And it was a bunch of live action superhero shows. And they had Electra Woman and Dyna Girl, which was like Wonder Woman if she had electricity. Right. They had Wonder Bug, which was a beat up, sand buggy, that type, dune buggy. Yeah. And it would transform into Wonder Bug. And then there was Bigfoot and Wild Boy. And what Bigfoot and Wild Boy was, this kid was raised in the woods by a family of Sasquatches.
Oh, jeez.
And they adopted him as one of their own, and together they would fight crime in the woods. I don't know what crime there is out there in the woods, but the fact that there's a Sasquatch, and he would have this roar, like the kid would be in trouble, like, a tree had fallen on his leg, and the evil hunters were going to kill him, and he would yell out, Bigfoot, and also and this giant dude would come and just kick everyone's ass. It was insane, man. But I don't know. I think they need more Bigfoot TV Saturday morning shows,
Yeah, that would be great. One of the ones that I used to love a lot was the Hanna-Barbera shows.
Yeah.
The Herculoids was one of my favorites. Birdman.
Birdman, Space Ghost, Blue Falcon, and Dynamite, which is later on, actually. That's not on there, but oh, that was great. And the Fantastic Four is a Hanna-Barbera show. Early on in the 60s, they did a Fantastic Four, which was really great.
Yeah.
They used to rerun. Yeah.
That was with Herbie was in the 70s, right? When they got rid of the
Fantastic Four. Yeah, they couldn't do the Human Torch. They told us it's because they didn't want kids to set themselves on fire.
Yeah, what do you think it was, though? That wasn't the truth.
No, I heard that was BS. I heard it was that Universal had contracted to do a Human Torch movie or something like that, and they didn't have the rights to it. So that's what I heard, but it's one of those urban myths. You don't know what's real or what's not real. But
Yeah, so we've got like 25 people in the chat. You guys, let me know what cartoon you guys used to watch a lot.
Thundar the Barbarian, dude.
Yes.
That's classic. I just thought of that right now. That's more the 80s.
Yeah, that was more 80s. Do you think that would translate onto the big screen well, Mitch, in live action? How do you?
In a heartbeat. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Ookla the Mook, Princess Ariel, riding on those weird ostrich things, man. Right. Oh, yeah.
That would translate
now.
That's something that I wanted to talk about. What would we like to see translate well? And you just actually stole it. Like I thought that I was thinking, maybe Birdman or Thundar or not Thundar. I was thinking Birdman, and I was also thinking the Herculoids. Yeah, but you stole it right there. Thundar the Barbarian live action. Take my money. Here you go.
That's it. That's it. There's nothing better than Thundar the Barbarian. I don't think it lasted more than a season or so.
Maybe two. I think
maybe two.
Yeah,
and we just had, he passed away this week, unfortunately, but Marty Pasco, who was a DC guy, he went out to Hollywood and he worked on that show. And I remember when he was at Terrificon in 2017, we were bothering him about Thundar the Barbarian. And he was like, who cares about Thundar? We were like, it's the greatest show ever. I think Jack Kirby worked on some of the designs for it. Yeah,
great show. Great show.
With that, the moon was in the orbit and it split in half. Remember that?
It was so like it was so like post-apocalyptic that you could have the wizard, his face would spin and everything. So
sword and sorcerer, and you had the light sword, which was like a lightsaber, or the sun sword.
Yeah. So, Justin, what would you want to see come to the big screen? Like, what would you like to see live action?
I mean, I don't know about shows that have. I mean, obviously, Transformers, it's done. G.I. Joe, it's done. Master of the Universe, I would love to see a reboot. But a show that is more I like this. We're getting together. So Mitch is in his 50s. You guys are in your 40s, and I'm in my 30s. So we have a good, decade apart from all the shows. So when I was younger, and I actually just downloaded some pictures. This is a show that's very underrated. It was only one season. It was called Visionaries and the Knights of Light. So this was a really cool show where basically they had these staffs, and inside the staffs were, different creatures. So each one of them had their own special powers. And, the bad guys had these giant monsters that they could create. The good guys were able to use like super speed, or like the main guy who could turn into a lion or, a cheetah. There was different characters. And this only went 12 episodes.
Was that a line of toys?
I think it was, Mitch.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Peter Cullen did one of the main voices. There's some other guys who were, and I just like that show. And actually, I found it on like a bootleg DVD for like the 12. They sell them at like the Comic Cons. People always sell those bootleg DVDs, so I had to pick it up. And I always watch it like at least once a year just to like reminisce. I'm like, man, I love this cartoon, and that's something that I don't know that'll transition well into a live action, but I think it's something that really would love to get rebooted.
Yeah. Roger, what are people saying in the comments for good cartoons?
All right, so let's get some people that have joined us. Sith AF, ALD Collects, Chris Fenwick, first live show. Thanks for Stay Puff 1983. Always love his Sunday slow jam post on Instagram. Matt Forza, Paul Hurst, the Comic Forge,
Mask. That was a good one.
Nice. Mask. I'm going to say that if within the next 10 years they don't do a live action Thundercats, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Here's an 80s one, guys. This one Bayou Boy got it. Dino Riders. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I remember getting all the toys for all the different dinosaurs they had.
I remember Ordway said he did some cartoon comic book based on a bunch of robots that could turn into rocks or something.
Yep, I remember that too.
I was like, are you kidding me? What's that? You pick up a rock? He's like, I don't know. I just drew the tie-in for it, but
Thundercats is there for the picking, I'm telling you.
But I don't know why.
Dude, Larry Kinney lives right up the road. He comes to Terrificon every year. He's Lion-O. I mean, get this guy on screen.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, that would be a great idea. I'd love to have him come on and talk about Lion-O. I mean, I think that was fantastic. The Sword of Omens, all the other characters, the vehicles.
My favorite cartoon to come out of that era.
Yeah, that's awesome. That would have been good to see.
There was a lot of live action stuff because I remember watching the Monster Squad, which was on in the 70s, and it had. You remember Gopher from Love Boat?
Yes.
He was the star, and he worked as a guy in a wax museum, and at night they would come to life. It was Frankenstein, werewolf, and Dracula, and they would fight crime. and Fred Granby, I think is his name. He was there, and the Monster Squad, and he would just the whole premise is kind of dumb. But then they did the night in the museum, which is kind of like the same idea where the figures come to life at night. So
Yeah.
I don't know. The Monster
interesting.
Squad.
Well, here's Mitch. This is exactly what you were talking about. This was it. The Rock Lords.
Lords. Yeah,
This
that's
was
what
I had all these as a kid. You just literally, I can't believe that came out of your mouth. I'm so happy that you said that. I had
So
all
they
these
literally
toys.
I do remember.
They turned into different types of rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember these commercials. I definitely.
Oh, I don't
God.
remember these.
Oh my
What
god!
is
Yeah,
it?
the guy with the two heads,
Land?
sticks and stones. Oh
Yeah.
my god! I had all these little toys. Me and my brother.
How
That's
many
so
kids
funny.
grew up to be landscapers? Were inspired by rock lords. It sounds like a heavy metal band, doesn't it?
That would be really good.
Yeah.
So you know what? I made of course I made a mistake when we introed this. Mitch, I wanted to start off with where we ended off the last time you were on the show, because we were talking about somebody who was my hero, and then he was, that big green guy who wasn't very friendly, and how how this is a good one, and how he was just very high maintenance, and here we are talking about him. And Mitch, you had sent me a DM late at night, and this person. It's good. Do you want to follow up?
Well, it was it was just when this stuff started, this whole quarantine thing about 2 months ago. So we were talking about Terrificon and some of the guests I've had and some of the ones that have been a little bit high maintenance. And Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk, is the one that always comes right to mind. So not 10 minutes or so after I'm done talking to you guys and I sign off, I had that PTSD again. I look at my cell phone and there's a message from Lou Ferrigno. I go, oh my God, he must have heard about us. He's watching your show. He's going to come and kill me, man. What it was is I was bored, and my son, who was home from college, I have this Marvel chess set that I sent away like a nut, the Eagle Moss ones, and it was crazy. It's it sounds like a good idea, but when you got suddenly 100 pieces and there's nobody to play chess with, you're like, why did I buy this? So I said, let's set it up. It took me longer to set it up than it did my son to beat me. But I took a picture of it, one photo of all the different chess pieces. And I love it because I always feel like Dr. Doom on the cover of a comic book, because you hold the chess piece of the Ben Grimm or Spider-Man. You're like, I control everything. I'm the master. And I took that photo and I put it up there. I said, playing Marvel chess with my son, Owen. That's it. Ferrigno sees the picture on Facebook and writes to me that night and goes, where did you get that? Where's the Hulk? I want to get the Hulk piece. Blah, 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 blah. Now, they had stopped doing this about 6 years ago, so I don't even know if they have in stock anymore. So he starts questioning me, where do I get the Hulk and the Marvel chess set? And now I'm on eBay. I'm sending him links. I'm sending him.
So you're working for him at this point.
I know, and I'm sitting there, and now it's got to be 2 a.m. He's out in LA, so it's 11 o'clock or so. And I'm like, it's happening all over again, because he's texting me, I want this one. I don't want that one. I want this. I'm like, Lou, here, buy your own damn pieces. And we're going.
Doesn't he have an assistant?
Yeah.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
I definitely believe in the universe finds its way, or the universe. So we invoke that, Nick. We invoke that, him getting a hold of you that time, I
was like, what are the odds? What are the odds? I haven't talked to him in a good year or so since Terrificon that he's suddenly I'm going to check out Mitch tonight.
Yeah.
But I haven't talked to him since. I don't know if he's mad at me, but right. He'll call. Wait a minute. Now. Hey, Mitch, it's Lou. I heard you. My ears were burning.
Oh, that would be very funny.
On the show. Yeah. He was the voice of the Hulk on the cartoon show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah. The Bruce Banner was this guy that I was going to bring to the show that played Damien Dark. He's also Dum Dum Dugan.
Oh, yeah.
He played Ensign Hawk in First Contact. Neil McDonough.
Yes.
Neil McDonough was going to come to Terrificon. He is the voice of Bruce Banner on the Hulk Saturday morning cartoon show later on. And then Lou Ferrigno would do the voice of the Hulk. So that's neither here nor there, but it's got Lou Ferrigno and it's got cartoons, and I just brought it together for you.
Oh, that's interesting. So I've been thoroughly enjoying hearing you and Jerry Ordway talk about experiences and things that you guys have going on. And I find Jerry Ordway very interesting. So he's got a lot of good things.
It's kind of a wellness check. Now that we can't go out for pizza and beer, I just like call him up on this, video thing, and we just start recording. So.
It's like the Jetsons, we're like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
But you had talked about how Howard Chaykin and you had this hatred for him for years.
Oh yeah.
And could you just tell us that story and how he eventually apologized and said
Oh yeah. No, let's prerequisite. Howard and I get along famously now. He comes to the show 2 or 3 times already. I talk to him on Facebook almost every day. We're buddies. We get along fine. I don't hate him anymore.
Good. Okay. Right.
There was a period of over a decade that I said I had 2 people on my most hated list: Adolf Hitler and then Howard Chaykin. And depending on the day, it would flip between who was 1 and who was 2. Now, what happened is, how you guys go to comic conventions to meet creators and writers and artists and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had written and drawn my own comic book because I went to school to be an artist and all that. So I had the book and I was going to get it printed, but I had all these questions and it wasn't the internet. So I want to know, how do you get it distributed? How do you sell it in stores? I didn't know all this stuff. And Howard's my number 1 guy. I love the American flag, everything he's done. So he's at a con in New York pushing this new book on the Bravura comic book line called Power and Glory. So I take my wife, I think, we just had gotten married, or girlfriend, I can't remember what year it was, 93, 94. So we drive to New York, we go to the show, there's Howard. I'm all excited. I have my book, I have my portfolio, I'm in line. There's Mark Silvestri, there's Jim Starlin, there's all the different guys there. Walt Simonson, everyone's there, but I want to talk to Chaykin. So I'm getting in line. I've never met him before. I'd read all his stuff. I get up to the table. I start asking him all these questions like, hey, Mr. Chaykin, how are you? I love you. Big fan. I love all the things you've ever done. How do you get a book printed? What do you do here? How do you make money? Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, oh, stop. What are you doing? And I said, well, I'm an artist. And he goes, whoa. Are you an artist? Yeah. And he goes, what do you want to know? I said, how do I make money? How do I make money doing this art? He goes, stop. You know what we call people who take their talents and do it for money? And I go, I don't know, working artists, No, we call those whores. And I'm just like, what? He goes, you're taking your God-given talent to draw and create, and you want to put a price tag on it, and you want to sell that. That's a whore. You got to do art for the love of art. You got to do for what's in your heart, what you want to do, what you want to convey, your emotions, not for a paycheck. What you are is nothing more than a common hooker. And I don't have time to talk to whores. Now get out of here. So I'm devastated. My wife is like, what an asshole. And he's like, what? So she's like, what are you? He's asking you a question. You call him a whore. Right. So this whole thing erupts at the table. Okay. Other creators are looking over because he's not quiet. His hands are going everywhere and he's yelling whore. And I'm like, no, you call me a whore. I love the American flag. So I gotta get out of there. And I stop and I'm looking at him and I say, what are you doing here? He goes, what do you mean? I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm promoting my new comic here. I'll autograph it. I go, oh, how much is that? He goes, what? I said, the book. He goes, oh, $2. I said, oh, all right. He goes, do you want a copy? I'll sign it. I go, no. I just want to establish something. He's like, what? I said, so you're doing your art and creativity for $2. So you're basically a $2 whore. So that happened. I had to interview him for my podcast, the IndieCast, about Indiana Jones, 2010 or so. So I'm at Baltimore Comic-Con, Klaus Janson, Walt Simonson, Louise Simonson, they're all at a table. I come up, I interview all of them because they all worked in Indiana Jones, Raiders Lost Ark. And then I got to end with Howard. And I set my mic up and I'm sitting there and he goes, hey, babe, how are you? I go, yeah, all right. He goes, what's the matter? Why you look so miserable? I go, I don't like you. He goes, what did I do to you? I go, what did you do to me? 1993. And I tell him the whole story. And he's looking at me like, what? I said, yeah. He goes, wait, how many years ago was that? I go, I don't know, 14 years ago, 20, I don't know. He goes, wait, you've harbored this hatred, this anger, this bitterness in your soul for all these years? You're not productive you could have been? What a waste of life. What is wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, now I even feel worse for hating you. That went on, but he was shocked that I really took a dislike to him and stuff. And then Jerry told me the reason why he was doing that is because people would do that to him. Neil Adams, Gil Kane, they always did that to Howard. So he kind of does it back to people, not to put him down, but to try to like a coach that's like, you're gonna lose. You're
right.
To rile
see how
you
thick
up.
you are.
Yeah, to see how thick you are when you test your muster, so you get up and you rise to the challenge. But I was a wimp, and I just threw in the towel and gave up the comic book dream.
And then you just hated him for 20 years, right?
I've used that against him a lot. And the fact that in Terrificon, he hates talking about Star Wars. He does not like Star Wars because he drew the comic when it came out 40-something years ago. So he won't talk about it. So I called him and I said, hey, would you do a panel about Star Wars at my show? And he was like, I hate Star Wars. I could remember you called me all those names and my life could have been so much. Yeah, all right. So I guilted him in it. So the only time you'll ever hear Howard Chaykin talk about Star Wars is at Terrificon 2018, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin, and Charles Lippincott from Lucasfilm. And they hadn't been together on a panel since 1976 when they were trying to push Star Wars before it came out. And Mark Hamill was there. And at the time, it was called The Star Wars. It wasn't even called Star Wars yet. They had just finished filming it. And that was the first and last time he's talked about Star Wars since. And it was only at Terrificon, and he said, "That's it, we're done."
Did he just not like? Do you know the underlying reason for that at all, Mitch? Like why he
doesn't like Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean,
because he'll tell you everybody made millions and he made hundreds.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
He did the artwork for the movie adaptation, and it was the biggest selling book there was that year. It's the book that saved Marvel Comics, they call it.
Right.
And I think he sold the cover to Dave Mandel, the TV producer. Howard didn't make much more than a normal paycheck for doing the pages, so he's not a big Star Wars lover. But that became the biggest, book. I can't even tell you how many times it's been reprinted by Marvel. So, but no, they never gave him more than the straight page rate. So he's not a huge Star Wars fan. He never really got into it. So,
all right, interesting.
That's why he doesn't talk about it.
Right. So I know Roger did a little bit of research. Yeah. So Roger did a little research. We're doing a little Q&A with Mitch right now.
So you went to Southern as an art major, right?
Yep.
So while you were there, you worked as a cartoonist on their newspaper. What kind of cartoons did you draw for their newspaper?
Oh, well, I got fired every year. So the first one I did was
I was going to leave that part out.
I would do some strip and the editor hated it and I wouldn't change it. And then they fire me. Then I come back next time with a different story. The first one was called The Equivalent. And Yale is in New Haven. It's Southern's crosstown rival. I mean, there's the Ivy League and there's Southern. So I do The Equivalent. Like, here's what they have at Yale and here's what we have at Southern. So, I mean, high class, la-di-da, and blue collar us. So that ran for a couple weeks, and then they didn't like that because they said I was making fun of the rich kids. So that left. And then I did one that really went well was a couch potato. That was like a new term. And I did the greatest moments in couch potato history. So that was like little pictures of, a couch potato watching Star Trek marathons, and you see this potato with Spock ears and stuff. They liked that. And then I did one called Never Neverland, which was about this kid who was a genius. He was 12 years old and he got to go to college, kind of like Doogie Howser. And he was a 12-year-old boy living in a frat house at Southern Connecticut State University. And there was people partying and drinking all around him. And he's just 12 years old, so he can't do anything. And that lasted a while. And then what I started doing was I started writing myself into the comic strip.
Oh, nice.
So I started doing stories about myself and my friend Joe Murley, who became a lawyer. So then it just turned to Mitch and Murley. So then the newspaper fired me for the third time, I think. So they fired me for the third time. And I still like doing the comic strip, so I didn't want to stop. So I worked at this Charette Copy Center in New Haven, Connecticut. It was right under the Q Bridge, big Charette art supply store. So on the weekends, I would work there. And when everybody would leave, I'd run off about 5,000 copies of my comic strip. And on Sunday and Monday, I would drive all over campus and I would tack them up all over the bulletin boards. And I'd drop them off in the dorm rooms. And I would put them in the dining halls and all that stuff. So I was distributing my own comic strip. And that went on for years. And then we started getting a following, and the local radio station would interview me and talk about the show. And then we did public access. We had our own TV show. The Adventures of Mitch and Merle. So yeah, so that answers your story in a long-winded answer.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you that a lot of people don't know. Even though Southern is a little college, a lot of people, because it's so close to New York, a lot of famous people went there. I mean, being a hip hop fan, I know there was a lot of hip hop artists that went to school at Southern and hung out in New Haven.
Michael Jai White. He was in
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to that since. So you were part of the theater and you crossed paths with him there, and you didn't realize it till years later.
No, he was Larry the Lobster, and he will kill me because he hates this. They actually made a play about a lobster that was going to be boiled for dinner, and it was this lobster talking about his life as it was about to end, and he just thinks back about all the things that could have been. It's like It's a Wonderful Life, if you were a lobster. So Michael Jai White, aka Spawn, aka
first African American to play a superhero on a big screen.
He's in this stupid costume with giant lobster claws, and I'm on stage crew, and it was the worst play you ever saw in your life. So I'm in New York City years later, and I'm at New York Comic Con, and I'm interviewing Michael Jai White because he's there to talk about Black Dynamite. So we're sitting across the table, and he's answering questions. He's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and then I whisper to him, I go, "Larry the Lobster?" And he goes, like that. And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes out. We go out in the hallway. He goes, who told you to say that? I go, "I was on stage crew with you." He goes, "Oh my God, shut up about that. Don't tell it. Is there any photos of that?" No, I don't know. So we're still trying to find photographs of Michael Jai White as Larry the Lobster. That's his first ever acting gig.
That is hysterical.
He will kill me. And Ron Garney went there too.
You went to school. You had classes with Ron Garney. I mean,
Ron was graduating when I was a freshman. Yeah, but then he served me a drink. I was underage, and Ron was a bartender at this bar in New Haven called the College Street Bar or something like that.
Yeah,
Temple Street Bar. So I never drank before, so I snuck in because they were giving away tickets. I think they were giving away tickets to the Batman movie, or I can't remember what it was. So Ron's behind the counter or the bar, and I go up to him and he goes, "Hey, what can I get you to drink?" And I don't know. I'm not going to drink. So I go, "I'll have a vodka martini, shaken, not stirred." So he just stares at me and goes, "Seriously?" I go, "Yeah." So he makes the drink and he slams it on the thing. He goes, "Here you go, Mr. Bond." And I go, "Oh, shit." He knows about the James Bond drink. So, and then years later, Ron and I are sitting in New York Comic Con next to each other. I'm talking about it. He goes, "Wait a minute. Did you ask for a vodka martini shaken and not stirred once?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, all right, that was me." I go, "Oh, okay."
Oh, that's funny.
Small world, dude. It's a small world, man.
Real quick, I want to go back to the chat and see who's joined us. We got Rick Yanni, Keep It Thorough joined us. Batman Benader, Scott Martin.
Scotty Martin, one of ours.
Efren Feliciano, Lords of the Long Box, TiVo joining us today. A lot of great people.
Chris Fenwick actually has a really good question. Mitch, what's your most prized collection?
My most prized collection at the moment would be my giant-sized man thing.
There it is, Chris. There's your answer.
No. My most prized possession is my Origins of Marvel Comics, signed by Stan Lee and John Romita, which is actually right over here. So there you go. You didn't know I was going to do show and tell, but I did.
No,
that's what we like to see, man. There's so much stuff behind you that I'm sure you can tell us about.
You don't want to know what's on the other side of this. I'm going to burn it all. So. Now, this book, see that?
Wow. Love it. Yep.
There you go. To Mitch, Stan Lee, and then John Romita.
Wow, that's
this
awesome.
was paperback. It came out in the 70s, and it was a whopping, I think, $6.95. And it's got the origin stories of, all the basic Marvel guys, Spider-Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four. And Stan Lee has written little intros for each one of them about how the characters came about. And the cover was painted by Mr. John Romita Sr., and he said it only took him a day. So I got Stan to sign this for me back in the 90s when I met him in New York City. And we talked about it. He said this was his favorite book. It was on the New York Times bestseller list. It was like one of the first comics to do that. And then last July, I was at John Romita Sr.'s house, and I dragged the book out, and I finally got John to sign it right there. So I've had this since I was, 9 or so. So this is probably and I only had it here because I've been reorganizing everything. But
speaking of John Romita, I read a great story about you were working at a catalog, making catalogs for office supplies, and you pitched them some sort of comic, and you literally called Marvel and talked to some secretary and get a hold of John Romita. Tell us about that.
The guy, I was just out of college, just out of Southern, and I was the assistant to the art director. And the art director got fired because he was moonlighting. He was running his own business out of the office, and the CEO came in and said, "Get your crap and get out of here." So I'm in the next room, and I'm just waiting for them to hire a new guy because I'm like, well, somebody's got to do all this work. And I had been doing all the photography and the writing and all that jazz. But I'm only a kid. I'm like 23 years old. So the guy, I get my nerve up, and I go down to the hall, and I knock on his door, and I said, "Mr. Anderson, are you going to hire a new art director to run this place?" And he goes, "You got any ideas?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I want a fresh new idea right now." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "What would you do differently for our catalogs?" And it's office supplies. It's laminators. It's
real exciting stuff.
The most boring crap, binding machines, overhead projectors. It sucked. And I love comics and movies, So I said, well, I would make a comic book catalog. He goes, "What's that?" I said, "I would make the whole catalog illustrated, and I'd make it look like a comic book, and you go through it, and each page tells you something new and exciting about this laminator or this binding machine, this overhead, and it would be great, and we'll sell everything." He goes, "That's good. Go do it." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, if you can get it done, I'll keep you on, and you can become the new art director." Yeah. So I walk out of there, and I'm literally peeing my pants. I have no idea how to do this. I have no concept on how to print a catalog or like a comic book. And there's no internet. And there's a library, and that's it. But I do remember Marvel Comics. So I get the information out. Remember you dial 411?
Yeah.
And I called Marvel Comics headquarters in New York City. And the woman answered the phone. I thought it was the secretary, but I'm going to tell you who it was because I found out later on. I said, "I got this job. I'm 23 years old. I told the guy I know how to make comic books. I can draw. I could do all this stuff. I just don't know how to put it together. But if I lose this job, I'm going to lose this job. I don't know what to do." So I'm almost in tears. And she goes, "Calm down. Hold on. I'll get somebody on the phone that can help you." She puts me on hold. And then the next thing I hear, it's, "Hello, John Romita." Now I'm on the other end. And I'm, "Oh my God, John Romita Sr. Oh, you're my number one guy. I want to be you when I grow up. Blah, 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 blah." So I get that out of the way in 30 seconds. He's like, "Can I help you with something, son?" "Oh, yeah, here's the situation. I don't know what to do. And I told him I did. And I'm going to get fired. You got to help me." He goes, "Oh, all right, calm down, calm down, calm down. Get a pen and paper." So for 45 minutes, John Romita Sr. walks me through how to draw it, how to ink it, how to color it, how to go to a separator, how to get typeset done, tells me how to make a comic book, like a 101 how-to thing, That happens. I get the book, it's printed, the sales go up, they've made more money on that book than they'd ever done before. So now I'm like, the big hero there. So I kept the job. Last year, I get to go to John Romita Sr.'s house. I tell that story. It wasn't his secretary. It was his wife, Virginia, who was the production assistant in the office. And that's the woman I spoke to when I called up.
Oh, really?
How I was panicking. She goes, "Oh, wait a minute. I kind of remember you calling up and acting crazy." And I go, no, I was scared. She's the one that put me in touch with her husband. So if it wasn't for John Romita Sr. to tell me how to do it, I never would have got the catalog done. I never would have got the job. And then the rest would have been history. I would have been on the street.
Right. In the streets of New Haven. That's awesome.
That's a great story. Because I think with that story like that tells people who don't really know much about you is you're not just a guy that got some backing and started a con. Started a con. You love the industry. You love comics. Your entire life has been about comics. Failures, successes. Marvel offered you a job, right?
They offered me a job, but it was only paying $23,000, and I was making $40,000. And
but still, it's Marvel. That had to have been tough to turn down.
The guy called me at 11 o'clock at night because I said no, and he called me back. His name was Vito Incorvia, and he said, "What is wrong with you? There's a line of people around the block that would kill to be in your shoes right now." And I said, "Yeah, but I can't live in New York City on $23,000. I can't commute from, Connecticut and back and forth. He goes, well, I think you're making a big mistake. And I'm like, well, whatever. I guess I am. So I said no, and I turned the offer down, and I always kicked myself. But that year, that fall, they laid off like 450 people because that's when the stock went in the toilet. So if I had taken the job,
right,
I probably would have been let go like 3 months later because, last hired, first fired type of thing. So, and then I went down the road for a job offer at DC, and I met Stan Lee that day at a stockholders meeting because I went to one of those. And Stan goes, where are you going? I said, well, I got an interview at DC Comics in about 45 minutes. He goes, well, the distinguished competition, what are you going to work there? You should come and work for us. And I said, well, I tried to, but they didn't pay enough money. He goes, oh, yeah, I get that. All right. And he goes, well, I can't help you with that, son. But the guy over there, Ron Perlman, he's the CEO of Marvel. He could tell you about how to make money. You should go ask him why they don't pay a lot of money and put a good word in for me. I said, that guy? He goes, yeah. I said, all right, I'll go tell you. He goes, you're going to go talk to him? I go, yeah. He goes, you got moxie, Mitch. I go, all right. So I walk right up to him, and I'm waiting in line, and there's the CEO or whatever of Marvel, Ron Perlman, and he goes, can I help you? I go, yeah, why don't you pay your people as much as they pay over at DC Comics? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I went for a job here, and they offered it to me, but I'm going over there, and they're paying me more money, and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, we're very competitive, son. I don't know why. And I think Joe Quesada's standing there, and I don't know who yelling about this, and they're like, what is this kid, nuts? And I go, well, Stan told me to ask you. And they look over at Stan, and Stan's like, I don't know, nothing. It's crazy.
That's awesome. Those are great stories, Mitch. Awesome.
I found that book. It said, good luck at DC Comics, Stan Lee. So
wow. Oh, my God. That'd awesome. Be fantastic.
It was lost for about 15 years. I could not find that book. And it was in a pile of Spider-Man books in my long boxes. And I was like, oh, I've been looking for this for 15 years. And, of course, I can't find it anymore.
Oh, geez. So we're gonna show a little. We're gonna do a little intermission, and then the next thing we're gonna talk about, guys, is what everybody wants to talk about: Terrificon. So, Justin, why don't we take a big break, take a little rest our vocal cords. All right. So this is, Mitch, you must be getting messages left and right. I've gotten a few. This is something that we've been dying for. We're hoping, we're holding our hands tight together. We're praying. Right now, Terrificon is on, right?
It's still scheduled for August 14th to the 16th until someone tells me otherwise, which no one has said anything to me yet. So, yeah.
Okay. So we're still good to go. Have you been, I know you've got the list of guests, and I know you said you didn't want to talk about anybody who, adding anybody or anything like that, but there was a few people that I was thinking about, and we can start fielding some questions about Terrificon and stuff like that. But
here, you know what's killing me?
They're printed.
I've got 40,000 of these things in my garage behind me. Okay, yeah,
40,000.
They've been waiting here since March because originally I was supposed to do CT GamerCon at Mohegan Sun and hand these out, and then everything got postponed. That was the week this all started. That was over 70 days ago. And then Free Comic Book Day, I go to, Cave Comics. I sell tickets. I drop off all these flyers. There were so many guests. It's unbelievable. There's a new show on tonight called, it's the train that goes through the snow. What's it called?
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer. Okay. Stephen Ogg, who was also on The Walking Dead. He's on Snowpiercer. He's supposed to be at Terrificon. I have all these guests that I've never got to announce for the last 70 days.
We're going to throw it up again, Mitch. We see some. Hold it right there so we can see some new people if I see anybody.
There was Mark Wade, McGinnis. There was
Kevin Conroy, of course.
Conroy. Well, he was one of the original ones there, but
yeah.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Paul, the Highlander. Nicholas Hammond was going to come in from Australia. Doug Jones. Jeez. Look at all that. That was just some of them. I was still holding out on some of them,
Yeah. So I mean, is This is so in Connecticut, it's the state that will dictate to Mohegan. The Mohegan will then tell you. Is that what the plan is?
Well, what happens is the governor's office and the Connecticut Health Department work in conjunction with the CDC, obviously, to see what's best and what's safest with everybody through the testing and then the hospitalizations. You know, you want to make sure you got this thing, you got a handle on it, you know? You just don't want to open the doors and then suddenly the numbers start going up again. Nobody wants that. So we've been waiting to hear the governor, and he has a 4-phase rollout. They're going to say open up. So that starts this Wednesday. Phase 1.
Phase 1,
and
right.
A couple shops, and you can get a haircut by appointment and something like that. Then phase 2, they really haven't given us details, but phase 3 and phase 4. Phase 4, I think, is about August 20th, and Terrificon's August 14th, so we're like right around there.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I don't know, and I talked to Mohegan last week, and they're kind of in the same boat. They're planning on reopening slowly. They want to open up a little bit here and then expand and expand and expand it and make sure it's safe for everybody and everything's, you know, up to code and working right. But it's just one of these waiting games. You really have to wait. We've had to wait till May 20th just to start opening comic book stores and stuff, for instance.
Right.
And now we're going to have to wait a couple weeks more to make sure that the spread doesn't start coming back again.
Right.
It doesn't spike up again. You want to make sure you got a handle on it. If that goes well, you know, then they're going to start opening, I don't know, movie theaters maybe, because I know that they're planning on Wonder Woman in August. And that new Chris Nolan movie is supposed to come out in July. So
we got Tenet. Yep.
Tenet, yeah. So, I mean, there's so many unknowns, but it's already May 20th tomorrow. I mean, May 18th tomorrow.
I'll tell you, Mitch, if this happens, this is going to be the biggest con above and beyond anything, because at least myself, Justin's in New Jersey, Roger and I are in Connecticut. We talk to people all throughout the Northeast, even like the Midwest. Everything is canceled. And
I know.
You know what it's like. So I'm just, I mean, it's just going to be huge, beyond huge. And I'm a very optimistic person.
Well, so everybody wishes this never happened, but you sit there and you go, at some point, I know, they're going to have colleges in the fall. My sons are both college level or age level. They're going to go back to school. They announced in Connecticut that schools will be open in the fall. Again, everything's contingent on this thing not coming back right now, that it's just going to stay controlled and not start going up again. It's so many unknowns in this thing. It really, I hear your frustrations. I'm frustrated every day because I get 1,000 emails and calls a day. Hey, is it on? Is it on? Is it going to happen?
Yeah, right.
I at this point, as much as I do. They don't have a secret phone that they call me up on and don't tell anybody.
No bat phone?
Yeah, no bat phone here.
The bitch phone.
Don't tell anybody, but Terrificon is fine. We're going to keep it a secret. I wish that was the situation, but no, I know when you guys know. If they come out tomorrow and say that baseball games are back and football games and all that's back, concerts, then you're like, yeah.
Right.
But until such time, they haven't said when they think it's going to be right. I guess it all depends on what the virus dictates,
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And so what I was thinking was, I was looking and I was wondering, like, who would be who would I love to see there? And this guy was great in the 80s. I don't know too much about his personal life, but Fred Hembeck was such a comic.
Oh, yeah.
Is he from Connecticut, Mitch? Is he from this area?
He's a Westchester County guy. He's in New York.
Okay.
He's basically, if people don't know who we're talking about, he's like the Scotty Young of the 80s.
Yes, absolutely.
Funny caricatures of all the characters. But Hembeck would do whole books. I mean, I have a Fantastic Four roast by Fred Hembeck, and he would draw these weird characters. I mean, he just had a certain style to it, He's still around. Yeah, I see him at some cons here and there.
Yeah, he would be a...
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Mitch, I have a question. Since they really don't know yet for Terrificon, have they at least maybe even talked to you about possibly cutting ticket sales, or are you just in it until, I guess, the day of?
I don't get the tickets. They all go to Ticketmaster. I don't actually get paid till after the show. So I think they are still selling tickets and stuff. And if that happens, then Ticketmaster, we already have the 2021 dates. I have 2021, 2022. I have them for the next couple of years. So if it does get postponed, obviously the tickets will be good for next year's show. So there's that. And then again, you got to take it up with the box office and how that works. But There is one good thing. I keep thinking if it does get postponed, if you bought a table now, you're locked in. You got your table for next year already. Look at that. And
yeah, that's a lot of vendors that I've spoken to with even regards to like New York Comic Con. But
Yeah.
you know, like Everett said, we have everything canceled up and through the end of August. I mean, you have San Diego Comic Con. If you're a video gamer, E3, pretty much everything has been completely canceled. So, you know, like Everett said, everything up until August right now is still on schedule. Unless it
they just announced that the Big E, which is a big agricultural fair here up in New England, the Big E, it's in Springfield, Mass. They announced that this week that would be happening in the fall in September.
And that's
huge.
Thousands of people, you know.
Oh, it's like 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks. It just keeps going on. It's like
it's 3.5 weeks. Yeah.
Right. So I was like, wow, if they think the Big E's going to happen, maybe there's some hope for anything, you know?
Yeah, so especially you go there on a Saturday or Sunday, it's shoulder to shoulder crazy, you know?
Right.
Well, I did talk to Mohegan 2 weeks ago about how we would handle the crowds because, you know, Terrificon, we get like 25,000 people, so that's a lot of people. Yeah. So we talked about spacing the booths apart. We talked about keeping people 6 feet apart, social distancing, people wearing masks and stuff. So we're working on, you know, safety precautions. It's just, you just don't know what's going to happen, man. I just don't know how that's going to be. How would you do photo ops, you know, wearing a mask? I don't think you would.
I mean, this is kind of a joke, and Otto's seen this. This was probably like a month or so ago. I said, well, you know, cosplay of the year is a doctor wearing a mask.
Right, exactly.
I saw a guy cosplaying at C2E2 when this started as a giant bottle of Purell.
Jeez.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and at the time we were like, "Oh, that's kind of funny," but now you're like, "Wow, that guy would be worth millions." He would be worth millions.
He wins the costume of the year.
12 to 20-gallon bottle of Purell.
So, do we have any comments? Can we field any questions for Mitch right now? Or do we have anybody asking any questions? I mean, I think it's
no. Everyone's just, you know, everyone's in the same boat. Everyone wants to know, and you know, Mitch has kind of been kind enough.
Scott Martin texted me, "Why don't I have cool headphones like you guys?"
That's the next thing. So,
right.
So I did pull up a picture of what Fred Hembeck does. Just so you guys know, just so you can see it. And Mitch, I do have that roast where he roasts the.
Yeah, it's got a yellow cover. Yeah,
this is what I found. So this was like the Fred Hembeck kind of style.
Yeah, there you go. He's got those. Yeah, that's it.
And it was really fun, and it was just something I would like to see because, you know, I've got all these. Justin's been, you know, getting me to buy all these blank variants, and I'm like, oh, there you go. There you go.
Rogue Leader. This is Red 5. No, what's Porkins' call sign? I'm Porkins. I can handle it.
What's your vector, Victor?
He's up. No, I gotta go. Ah! I always love the screams they give out in Star Wars when the guys are about to crash. You know, whenever I'm in my car and I see, like, if I'm stopping too short or I see a car coming up close, I'm like, yeah! And I always remember that Gold Leader guy going out and he blows up, but he gives out the greatest scream before he dies, man. You know?
Death yell, you know? You're going to be limited like half. Yeah, capacity, Mitch, you don't really know about half the capacity. That's not even on the table at this point. So
I don't, like I said, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine it would be, I mean, the fire marshal, here's how the show normally works. The fire marshal's in control of the crowds. So he lets me know as the day goes on, like they count how many people are coming in and how many people are going out. What they call it a rolling, I can't think of it, a flowing crowd. So you never really have 20,000 people all at once. You have like 5,000 in, 5,000 out, 2,000. So they constantly monitor people coming and going. So I can only imagine with this whole new situation we are in, they would probably reduce the amount of people. I'm guessing this because I saw the New York beaches. They said that they were going to try for like half of what they normally would get. And I'm like, how do you control that at a beach? Because you pretty much drop your towel wherever and you just lay there in the sun. So, I mean, do they have a guy with a tape measure?
Yeah, putting out pylons or something like.
I mean, I don't know how they're going to do that, but I did hear things like the slot machines for that. They would be like every third slot machine would be on, so they would have them spaced apart. So, I mean, they're working on it. They just opened a casino up in Washington State about 2 weeks ago. I saw that. So I don't know.
You're wearing a mask or something like that, and that would be interesting. But it's, you know, it's tough to tell. Like I said, I'm optimistic. I think, you know,
we were ahead of the curve. We were wearing masks for years at these shows, you know.
Right, exactly. If you would have opened up a Purell booth 2 years ago, you would have thought they were nuts, and now you'd probably make the most money.
I was, what, Ordway and I were joking. He was going to come up with a new design for this year's T-shirt, and I see you two guys are wearing your Terrificon shirts. Yeah. Way to go! But I said, Jerry, all you got to do is use the same design and just put a little mask on the guy. Right. We'll just use the same Terrificon artwork. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. New York Comic Con, I mean, Javits Centers was a field hospital, so that's going to be interesting there. I think it's empty now. I think they've cleaned that one out. I don't think they're using it anymore.
Yeah, they didn't need as many as they thought. So they started sending even people away that they got from other states. So
yeah, but it's like we live in an area where you always got to be on the side of caution. Like it's going to snow, so you always get ready for 3 feet of snow, just in case. Yeah. And it's the same thing with this. You hope it wasn't as bad. So I think they just said, okay, let's plan for the worst. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't happen, we'll be pleasantly surprised. You just have to err on the side of caution. I mean, it's just,
So you're going along. So you do have a lot of panels planned, Mitch? I really enjoy the panels. I think the panels are so interesting.
Dude, the panels are my favorite part of the show because I program them all. And like when I pick up books around here, I go, oh, this would be great to talk about this and that. I would think panels would have to be spread apart a little bit. There's still a guy up there, and he's fine. Yep. But the people, it wouldn't be that bad. They would just have to sit, a couple feet away from each other.
Okay, right.
So I think you could handle that. I mean, we could, if worst comes to worst, we can almost do an online panel like Ordway and I do the Power Cosmic now. I could get Shaken, or I can get Mark Wade or somebody to come on, and we'll just do like an hour-long podcast or something,
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think we're all happy to hear that your business as usual, and we're not breaking any bad news here. So
no, I mean, it is like I said, I'm just standing by to stand by. They don't. Hopefully, within the next week or two, they'll give me what the word is.
All right. Have you had anybody cancel on you?
Joe Jusko said, or he said this months ago. He said I won't be doing any shows for 2020. So that was back in. This is just when it started, like early March, maybe late February. Joe announced that he wasn't doing any shows this year.
Uh-huh. So how about like CGC, CBCS? They're all still planning on being there, and
yeah, no one's written to me and said they weren't. I mean, they have their booth space, so like I said, it's just
everybody's just waiting to see what happens.
I think everyone's hoping for the best. I mean, Garden State just canceled this week. They're up near you guys, New Jersey, Morristown.
Yeah, and that's a show I like. And Kevin Eastman was supposed to be there, and
Dave and Sal do that show.
Yeah, I know Sal really well. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, so they just had to reluctantly cancel. What was there? Oh, East Coast Comic Con. That was supposed to be in May.
Yeah, that was actually this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was this weekend.
And then that got pulled.
Mm-hmm. And it got pushed back to. It was originally pushed back to July 4th weekend. And then people were like, how can you have a con like July 4th weekend? And then they ended up canceling it.
I know. Well, the problem is with the conventions, the way it works is we get a calendar, and they have so many weekends. There's only 52 weekends. You're not going to do Christmas. You're not going to do Thanksgiving. And you just got to plan what's open. And then you got to dance around with other shows. Like, oh, I hope I'm not the same weekend as Boston or the same weekend as Jersey or whatever. But some of us call each other. Like Cliff will call me up and he'll say, here's my show. And Dave and Sal will say, here's where I am. So we work around each other because we don't want to bang into each other, because we have the same fans. We have the same attendees, the same exhibitors, sometimes the same creator guests. Yeah. You don't want to be that jerk and like, well, pick one, Right.
I got to give it time to breathe, I think, like we have spots, 3 comic book swaps. And, those have been a lot of fun. And once it's lifted or we get a venue to do it, we'd love to have that. And then we were even taught, to try to do that. But I'll tell you, the Terrificon is like the binding force right now. We're all like, let's go. I know people.
Tell me about it. I'm like the last man standing now. I'm like, oh my God, how come
you're like Obi-Wan? You're our only hope, Obi-Wan.
I'm the only one left. It's out of my hands at the moment. It's up to whatever the Connecticut governor and the health department says is okay. But we're hoping.
This is a good question.
I watched it all night long. I'm on YouTube watching the news and stuff.
So how do you think the rescheduled cons will affect normal times they operate for next year? For example, Emerald City is usually late March and now August. Will it be next year at its normal time? Mitch, we booked for next August.
I think it would be in March. I'm pretty sure. didn't Rose City just cancel? I was gonna say, didn't one just cancel this week?
Yeah,
That was in September, right? Yeah.
But
I would imagine it would go back to March because, like I said, most of the big shows we have them scaled or planned out for about 2 or 3 years out. So I'm pretty sure that Emerald City had the date locked in
right.
for next year and the year after.
Right.
You know?
But for next year, Terrificon 2021, around the same time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Look forward to that. Absolutely.
Why, would you want me to go to another month? I've thought about it.
No, I love August. August is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I love August. It's a great way. I mean, we look forward to it all summer. And then Mohegan Sun is actually fantastic in the summer. And you've got the outside patio with the pool. And
we got the outside stuff. Yeah. No, it's because one of those things I've like, would I go to April? Because I remember Boston Comic Con used to be April. And then they had the bombing with those two brothers that were, remember that on Patriots Day? So they got canceled and they had to move to the August date and they never went back to April. And I talked to Jim Talbot, who used to run it. And he's like, no. We found that August was a good time. So we kept it there.
no,
So
I mean,
then there's nothing in April now. So it's like a void, you know?
yeah, well, all three of us. I don't know if we love August as a month to have it. You know, it gives us enough time, it gives Justin enough time for New York Comic Con.
Kids are out of school. You know, we got vacation time.
Breathing
It's
time.
kind of like an end of the summer type of thing because I'm always like the middle, second, last.
That's exactly what it is. You know, the kids look forward to it. My wife looks forward to it. And
It's my wife's birthday weekend usually. So
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Because I don't know. Because
spend the
people
week
have
in the casino. You know,
people have asked me to do 2 a year, and I go, well, Christmas only comes once a year because I think if you do too many of them, it kind of dilutes it. You know, it's not as special, and now you're spreading yourself out because you're working on 2 shows at the same time and trying to make it good. You know.
Yeah, we got a
Would you tell people? Would you kind of tell people to buy tickets now just to be in it? You know, just to be safe that they're going to have a ticket because
we sell tickets at the door. I mean, even if there wasn't any stuff going on, there's still tickets at the door. Only 1 year did I sell out. The very first year I was there, the fire marshal was ultra worried about the attendees, about how many people we were going to get. And I'm like, no, we should be fine. And that Tuesday night, we hit the number of sold out tickets on Tuesday.
Right.
So I was like, oh God. So he calls me up. He says, hey, you're sold out for Saturday. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, you're already over the number. So I had a post on the Facebook and website. We are sold out for Saturday. And what happened is Sunday shot up because nobody can get Saturday. So they all came in on Sunday. And we had more people on Sunday night than Saturday, which was like bizarre because that never usually happens at a comic show. It's usually the other way around. It's Saturday's the busiest and Sunday you usually get half your traffic. But that was the only year that we were totally sold out. But no, we're pretty good. The only thing that sells out all the time are the VIP passes.
Yeah.
The ones you get the t-shirt and the lanyard and the, what do you call it, fast pass. And
I like the 3-day pass. I think the 3-day passes are fantastic because you get to get in a little bit earlier. You get a half hour early.
Yeah.
3 days, and for me, I look forward to it. I actually stay even Sunday nights now, and I do have. On a side note, I know there's if you're looking to book Mohegan Sun, you have a promo code, so there's discounted.
Yeah, it's on our website. Yeah. That starts in October, man. Every year, people like call me up in the last minute and go, "Hey, I can't get a hotel room." I go, "Dude, it's been on sale since October." They're like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Well,
it sells out, you know.
I have a friend of mine who he's a well-played gambler there, and he's well-liked.
Oh, so he gets the comp room, does he? Yeah.
Here's the good news about it is he called me on Wednesday and he said, Everett, I just talked to my host, and on this Sunday I will be able to find out how much I can get the discounted rooms for you. So whether or not it counts. So even Mohegan is saying, okay, look, at this point. We're now at the point we'll be at August. So I'll tell you, I was almost jumping up and down. I was like, that's a little glimpse of hope. You know what I mean? That
no. If you go to their website for events, they have like concerts and they have events planned for late July and August. So, I mean, comedians, Sebastian Mancuso, is that what his name is?
Maniscalco, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah, his show got moved to the week after us. So I know they're planning on events. So it's not like, we're just sitting there not doing anything. People are working on this on the screen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So guys, we've been going for an hour. We wanted to keep it for an hour. We don't want to keep Mitch here too long, but we're just going to, before we get ready to sign off, let's tell you a few things that are going on right now on the 3 Men in a Basement channel. We've got our 1,500 subscriber giveaway. We've got 10 items that you could win. So you have to go to that video. Mitch, please enter. All you have to do is hashtag.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I get to win something?
Yeah, you can go to our 15. Look at that. That's great. That's awesome.
So we've got 10 items. We've got once we hit 1,500 subscribers, we'll do that. This Friday is our next live show. We've got tons of mail calls. We've been still buying on COVID, the COVID free praise, whatever you want to say.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Open in Jersey? Are they closed too?
They are. Yeah, they're pretty much.
Okay.
I actually got to call a comic shop on Wednesday to see exactly what's going on. I've seen some signs that say they're letting in people who reserve. You have to make a schedule.
Okay.
So I don't know until this week, to be honest.
Because I know there's not a lot of Marvel shipping books this week. I think it starts next
DC.
week.
Yeah,
DC's got a couple. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I don't know what to expect on Wednesday when they open. What books will be in there, but.
No, you're right. Jeez, we'll have to see what happens. And I know, like Heroes and Hitters and the Eye Opener, they've been, they open. And I don't know, has Cave Comics? What have they been doing, Mitch? I mean, I know we're off task.
Yeah, Cave Comics is going to open up this Wednesday. He posted something saying, it'll be limited amount of people in the store, and that I think it's going to be everyone getting their sea legs. Richie's Comic Cabana, I know he's all set to rock and roll. He's been doing a sale, curbside. Boom Tube Comics, they've for the giveaway, he's been doing mail order.
Oh, nice.
This is really interesting. Eye Opener. Yeah, I miss those guys. I haven't been up there in months. Last time I saw them was at the East of the River show.
Yep, right. And even your Cliff's Cons. I would die to go to a Cliff Con right now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right. He would have been. Yeah.
We missed 2 months of those shows. So before we sign off, we've got those shows coming up. We've got a June 5th show. We're hoping that our second show in June, we're actually gonna be doing our own live auction. So before we sign off with Mitch, Roger, any parting words for you, my friend?
No, Mitch, I appreciate you coming on the show again. As always, you have some great stories about the history of you and why you're such a comic book lover. I could listen to them all day for sure. So thanks a lot.
Oh, you're the guy. Yeah, my wife will say he tells the same stories again and again.
Well, I'm a comic book geek too, so I'll listen to them again and again for sure.
All right, thanks, buddy. Anytime.
All right, Justin, how about you, my friend?
Again, just want to thank Mitch for jumping on. Really appreciate your time for this past hour. Everybody from the bottom of our hearts, we really look forward to Terrificon. Whether it's anybody in the live chat or watching this on the rewind, we all hope it happens. It really brings the community together. There's a lot of people that we've told about your show that have absolutely said, "Oh yeah, I definitely want to check it out this year. If I go, it'll be my 3rd year, and I love coming. Nice. I love coming up. It's definitely a different show for me. So." Let's hope it happens. And just again, it brings the community together is one of the best things.
All right. Awesome. So that being said, thank you very much. Mitch, would you like to sign off?
I would just keep checking the website for any news updates. And again, thank you for supporting the shows and being terrific. I appreciate all the attendees and all that stuff, man. So,
absolutely. So on behalf of 3 Men in the Basement, myself, David DeCave, Roger Levesque, Nemesis Prime, our special guest, Mitch Hallock, this has been the final issue of Sunday Afternoon Cartoons. I am Otto, and I am out. Peace.
Good night, Canada.
All right.